Namaste. My name is Eva. Welcome. So today we are going to break down a pose known as crane pose or Bakasana in Sanskrit. And so Bakasana is an arm balance. It requires quite a lot of strength in the abdomen, and we draw the belly in and around through the spine. So we want to be able to be in this rounded position here. It does require a lot of weight on the hands, so please make sure that your wrists are warmed up and that you don't have any wrist injuries. If you do, I highly suggest you don't even come into this particular pose. Remember that the body is the most important thing. It is our home. We don't want to injure the body just to come into a shape. So come onto your back, and we're going to do the pose on our back to begin with, just to notice how much strength is actually required and what we're doing with our body and what we want to work on, focusing on before we reverse the action. So come down onto your back, just draw the knees in a little, maybe take some circles rolling through that lower lumbar area of the body. And we're just going to separate the knees, keep the big toes touching, and then flex the wrist. So imagine you've got the floor there. So that's quite literally the strength that's pushing us off the floor. But we're just going to do this reverse for now. So head and shoulders begin to lift, and you're just going to reach forward. Now what you want to do is work your knees towards your triceps or your armpits, which is going to mean that you're going to need to round off the mat. So you're lifting your hips and your upper body, and then you're lowering. So press, lift, squeeze knees to armpits, keep pressing the heel of the hands towards the ceiling, and then exhale as you lower. Lift, round, dome through the upper back. Notice that shape that you're creating through the back, doming. Exhaling the back. So again, retracting, press, inhale. Exhale, lower. You'll feel this in the abdomen. Inhale, press, lift. Exhale, lower. We're going to take 5 little pulses now, so holding on the up pulse. So lift, hold, and pulse for 5. 4, keep pressing the hands and lifting the tailbone. 2 and 1. Hold it there for 5. Keep breathing, keep your drishti, your focus on 1 point. 3, 2, and 1. Beautiful. Release legs and arms long. Just stretch out the abdominal wall. Take a few natural breaths here. So you would have noticed you felt that quite significantly. So that is what's actually required. That's the strength that you need in your body in order to come into Bakasana, which is pretty much this, but in reverse. So go ahead and do that again a few times, lifting, lowering. Notice if you're just rushing this, you want to lift and squeeze and hold at the top and then lower. Try to get the knees into the upper arms a little more and lower. Press, lift, squeeze the hips a little higher than before and lower. Let's just do that one more time and hold and hold and hold. All right, drop the feet to the earth this time, or just drop the knees side to side like windshield wipers. And you can do this for as long as you need. It might be weeks, months, even. It might take quite a bit of time to actually get the strength in your upper body core in order to come into Bakasana. So know there is always somewhere to go and a place to build. So Bakasana looks a little like this. So there is quite a few different variations. There is a beginner-friendly variation where you quite literally bend the elbows and bring the knees relatively wide, and then use the forearms as a shelf. Now, importantly, you need to be able to come into a squat to begin with. So that's another aspect of the pose. And then what you also want to do is press the hands into the earth firmly. So spread the fingers wide, find a comfortable position for your hands, and then you're not going to be able to come up if you're allowing the hips to sink. So you need to lift your heels and lift yourself up a little, and then lower. So you'll start there by pressing the floor away, zipping the belly in, and lowering. And then eventually what you'll find is you'll bring the knees into the upper arms, you'll come forward, bend the elbows, and then start to lift a heel to the body, and then back. Now when we start, we all want to look at our feet leaving the floor. Avoid that. They're going to leave the floor regardless of whether you're looking at them or not. Look forward. Now the head acts as a counterweight, so you'll notice that eventually you'll float. Now as I said, the wider the knees, you start to kind of come up a little bit more. You can start hugging the inner thighs into the upper arms. But the pose will eventually start to evolve into knees coming pretty much into the armpits. And the reason for that is there are a lot of poses that we incorporate. They flow in together. So eventually you'll notice that you lift, you bring the knees into the upper arms, you look forward, and then you lift the heels and you start to dome through the upper back, just as we did when we were on the floor. So you can see that I'm coming up quite high. And then from there, some of us might be able to transition into perhaps a chaturanga, which is jumping back. So the knees leave the forearms just by using the strength, and then perhaps the feet begin to shoot back. But don't be alarmed about any of that now. We're just working Bakasana. So have a little play with your crane pose. Zipping the belly in, coming onto the heel, toes, lifting the heels, lifting one foot, and lowering. Squeeze the heel into the buttock. So you want to really lift. You want to defy gravity. Just as we were working that action of defying gravity in the opposite direction, now we need to support ourselves in the other way. So take your time, have a play. Perhaps one day you'll notice that you can start shifting the weight off your forearms as well, your triceps rather. So you start to maybe build that three-legged position. Again, lots of core strength, lots of awareness. You will require a little love in those wrists after you've done a few of those. So please take care of your wrists. Let's give them some rotations now. Just rotating those wrists, flexing at the wrists, and then we're just going to pump the hands. You're just going to open and close the hands. Just keep that going for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's interlock the fingers, press the palms forward, just round through the shoulders, draw the chin into the chest. As you inhale, lift the arms all the way up. Take a little bit of a back bend. And as you exhale, release the hands, circle them behind you. Just bring the fingertips to the floor, just to the lower back. If the fingertips are on the floor, you might want to lift the heels off the buttocks, opening that chest area. You might just keep the hands at the lower back, or even interlace the hands, whatever you feel your body is requiring after working that Bakasana preparation. You may or may not have come into it, but even just starting somewhere, starting in the squat, shifting the weight. Don't think the end result. There never is an end result. There is always somewhere to build. Yoga is not just about what we look like. It is internal, getting to know your inner landscape, getting to know how we work everything together and how everything moves. So I hope that was helpful. My name is Eva. If you have any questions, any feedback, any other poses you'd like to work, I'm more than happy to help you out with that. So much love, namaste, blessings.